self-care didn't identify with the spa, right?
I get that vibe from that circle of people on how important self-care is. And it all starts with how you talk about yourself.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Podcast. I'm Emma Pardo.
And I'm Katy Martin. And today we're just going to talk about some things that are going on. But specifically, the topic that we were chatting about is some things that you've done out of spite. And spite can be a very powerful thing. It can be a very negative thing. But we're just going to chat about that. We thought it would be a fun topic.
Have you ever done anything in spite of somebody and it absolutely backfired?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, we're women. How many times have you done something completely like passive aggressive that you just ended up like shitting the bed?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've had an argument with Cole where I'm like, fine, go by yourself. And he does anyway, because he's a guy and they just don't have that much emotion in it like that.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm sure I've gotten something like that. I can't think of anything that's like big standing out, but like definitely things like that where I've been like, fine, then go do this. Cause I'm like in my head, I hope that makes you feel guilty and you don't go do what I just said to go do.
Yeah.
And then they go do it anyway. And then you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Men are too simple for that. Like they want you to be more direct. So when you say, fine, then just go do it on your own. And they'll just go, okay. Okay. And that's about as deep as it goes. And that's like our own, that's our own manipulative thought.
I know. And it's bad. I've actually been like, I don't think I'm bad about doing things out of spite or in spite. What's the phrase?
In spite of.
In spite of.
I guess they're kind of the same thing. Like, cause
out of spite, in spite.
You have despite.
Are you in and out of spite is the question. Such a satisfying feeling though, is doing things in spite of somebody and it fucking working. I messed that up. And it fucking works. Like everything that you could have wanted. It just benefits the shit out of you. And then it's just kind of like, but I think some things that I forget is that like, while it's benefiting, if I keep harping on the whole spite aspect, I'll eventually trip and fall on my face. So it's time to move on from spite.
There's only so much that you can fuel. Like it's a good fire starter.
Right.
And if somebody were to say like if you think to yourself, I'm going to do that, like, despite you saying that I can do it, or I'm going to say that, I'm going to do this in spite of what you say. So, I mean, there's plenty of things that have started out that way that end up becoming something very, very positive. But I mean, it's a good fire starter, but it can't be long-term.
It's not the long-term plan.
No.
I can't just keep a hate fire so deep that it goes on for days, because it'll eventually catch up.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things that I would do just because somebody told me I couldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could definitely spark a fire. I was thinking about this today. The things that right now I'm 100% okay with, like where I'm at right now has nothing to do with anything else but me. Like all the excuses are removed and it's giving me like a new focus. It's giving me new clarity, and it actually kind of feels good. Like it actually kind of feels good to go, yeah, I'm in this one particular area. It's kind of fucked up and I'm not really happy where I am. And being able to say, well, that's really nobody's fault but my own. Like you don't go through the excuse train, and just the almost like the clarity that it gives you to say, oh great, now what am I going to do something different? Like, and then it becomes interesting. Where before, living in this space of not doing things that I enjoy or being stuck doing things I really didn't enjoy because I was the only resource and I was the only avenue, and I couldn't do other things that other people got to do because, oh, you don't really know that. Like, you don't, like, that's not what you're meant to do. Like, that's not the box you need to sit in. And being told that so many times over so many years would kind of beat me down to where, okay, then what's my incentive to learn something new? Like, what's my incentive to do something more? And it finally took like a big, like it finally took like just a big where I was like, fuck no, fuck you. I'm going to go do something that I actually want to do. And it took like flipping the table, but that whole fire started out of spite.
Right. I feel like that if you think about it, all the people that came from the situation that we came from have all gone to be very successful.
Very.
I think everybody that left that situation did it because they knew they could, but started because they were pissed.
Yeah.
And I think it was everybody that left that situation said, I'll fucking show you. Like,
right.
That was a dark time, I think, for everyone mentally, emotionally, anything but physically at that point. Just going and having to be told to do something and then have it be taken away before you even got the chance to do it because you were told you weren't doing it right.
Yeah.
Or you weren't doing it good enough. And I think that also inflicted a lot of imposter syndrome and like as well as like just paranoia in my day to day for a little while and up until recently. I feel like, I mean, there's times I'll still go through it, but I think that was like one of the biggest breakthroughs was just going through that whole situation. And I know the listeners don't really know what we're talking about, but I don't know, just taking that whole dark period of time. Like, I don't know how you did it for so long because I was in it for less than a year, but taking that whole dark situation and turning it into something like fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cole and I also talk about it. Like our whole goal was that both of us would be working from home and like be able to be by crew and all that stuff. And, you know, X amount of months later, here we are. We both work from home. We're by crew. He's actually here now and like just worked out. And it all started out of spite.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely there's some positive that can come out of some very negative feelings. It's just how long can you live there? And you can't. Right. You can't live there very long. And frustration, to a degree, I believe like frustration is a choice, but you can choose to live in the situation. The one thing that I don't agree with too is like the challenge and the like something great can come out of doing like that initial action out of spite, but it's definitely not something that's sustainable because if you're always thinking about the I'll show you, you're not doing it with like the purest intention, and then
you're not doing it for yourself. You're
doing
it
something negative.
You literally say it. I'll show you. This means I'm doing all of this so you can see, and it kind of takes away from the gratification you should be giving yourself.
And the one thing that, and the only reason that I'm even bringing it up because like that whole negative aspect of it just means whatever the situation is just taking up real estate in your brain.
Right.
And it felt so good. I don't even know what sparked it. There had to have been something that popped up in my feed or something that I saw. It's like that whole thing of, it's like you see the one thing that triggers the PTSD and then you have a dream about it. So, and I think that's what happened recently where it even popped up in my brain. And I was like, I took a minute and went, you know what felt really good even after that moment of, you know, you feeling the ick when remembering certain things is that, holy shit, I haven't consciously thought about that in months. And it felt really good. So
I am excited because I feel like I'm at this point of if I get triggered, or I don't want to say triggered, that sounds like I've got this weird anxiety about it, but if something like goes off in my brain that remembers that time, I don't sit there and get that like physical cringe.
Oh yeah, not anymore.
That period of time. I just go, ew. And then that's it.
Yeah.
And then I'm done and over with. Like before I would do like this whole spiral of like, why did I do that? And now it's just like, you see that and you go, okay, on to the next.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel, where some things that can be sparked out of a challenge. And I think, and that's not even, I don't even want to harp on the same topic, but that can be in a variety of issues. Like at some point you get to like breakthroughs come through with sometimes out of I'll fucking show you, or I'm fucking sick of this. And you know, like I said, the table flipping moments where you're just like, I've had it. And when you can do that sooner than later, and then what it ends up happening is you recognize that in a way less like toxic and angry way. And then that becomes progress. So, you know, just being able to, the things that can come out on the other side of that can be something really amazing. But that's the whole thing of it can't fuel your fire forever, because at some point you're just not gonna fucking care. And
have you ever had that I'll fucking show you moment with yourself?
Oh God, not enough though. It's been with myself. I wish I had more. I wish I had more of those times, because I think that's probably more powerful than wanting to spite someone else, where you can look at yourself and come to that reality of like, I can do better. I know I can do better. I know I can be better, and I'll show you. God, that was a great point.
I think I get to this point where I'm like, I'll fucking show you to myself. And then I get distracted. Like going back to that one of the previous episodes that we just did, is just not taking that time to like call yourself out or even care for yourself.
Right.
In the way that you need to, taking care of everyone else or taking care of business or letting all these other things trump your caring for yourself as a priority. And that's why we don't have those moments enough. I would agree. I don't have those moments enough either.
No.
And I think we're on the cusp of a lot of things lately. You and I both.
Right.
It's just, we recognize it, but we're not in the point of like seriously disciplining ourselves. And that doesn't mean negatively. It just means like we got to set up that boundary with ourselves and with others around us to care for ourselves. So yeah, I was thinking about that as we're talking about this, is just going, I could have that moment with myself just as much as I have that moment with others. And it still applies that you can't hold that mentality forever. No matter what you're doing out of spite, you can't hold that mentality forever because it'll fizzle out. You have to find that new fire to just kind of reignite and go
right
from there.
One thing that I was at that conference this weekend, and they talked about all the different levels of self-care. And it's like, self-care is not just a spa day, and I'm like, no, it's not, but man,
but those are so fucking nice.
Those are like a nice like way to kick off.
Self-care didn't identify with the spa, right?
No,
I feel like
I think it's just a part. I mean, it can be a part of it. I mean, there's something to be said about getting a massage and, just taking care of yourself. Like, getting a massage is like one of those things that has so many health benefits, and it's just a really nice thing. But I mean, I could go for a facial while I'm there. I could do some other things.
But I think, what I'm saying, I think is a common misconception is that, oh, it's just to treat your physical self while you're there. You get a massage, you feel relaxed. No, it's, when you get a massage, it's not like the people are talking to you while they're giving you a massage or a facial. They're not talking you through it. They're giving you that time to like be with yourself. And that's when you can go through and do like a mental check or like talk to yourself about where you're at and do some thinking and reflecting as far as that aspect of self-care. So I guess I see why it identify like spa day, self-care, all of that.
No, I mean, I wonder like what it would look like to put together. So the thing that I knew enough about NLP to be dangerous. I don't claim to be able to teach it. I understand it. I try to catch
hold on
myself.
Real quick. You said NLP. Will you?
It's neuro-linguistic programming. So meaning how powerful language is. So so just a super surfacey level, like if you think of things like affirmations and saying things out loud and changing the way that you think, changing the way you think by how you speak to yourself. Like, how do you speak to yourself internally? How you can process the way people speak to you and how that reflects more on them than it does on you. And there's different levels. There's people who will focus on they're an NLP practitioner, they're an NLP coach to help people through like trauma, or like there's a few different areas. Like Tiffany, who works with us, that's what she does, and she does it on like a mindset and leadership level. She's like speaks to large rooms of people, and then she coaches people one-on-one. But that's one of those things that I get that vibe from that circle of people on how important self-care is. And it all starts with how you talk about yourself, like how you think about yourself and how you can change language.
Cole has been pointing that out more recently to me, because he's all in on manifestation and talking to your subconscious and like rewiring yourself to be the best version of yourself. And he is a full believer that that's why he's lost 20 pounds in the last 3 to 5 months, is because he's not going to the gym. He's going on walks and he's taking time to sit and be with himself and talk to himself and manifest. And he's down 20 pounds. He hasn't changed eating habits. He hasn't changed hardly anything besides going on walks, and walks are not going to make you lose 20 pounds like that.
No. I mean, but he's the whole thing too of like you said, talking to yourself that you can do it, especially with like the diet and that kind of stuff, changing the way that you eat. Like last week, I thought I was going to die. And I was in that mindset of, I don't think I can do this. Like but then I kept telling myself, you just have to get through the first few days. You just have to get through the first few days. And then today it's Monday. I've had no caffeine. I've had no sugar. I've had no like processed carbs in over a week. And I already feel better. Does it solve all my problems in 5 days? No. But do I feel like, okay, now going to the gym doesn't feel as much of an uphill battle? Right. So just that, like, levels of self-care. I know they say exercise, but when you talk about huge public speaker, her name was Stacey O'Byrne. She's a really high level NLP coach. She teaches and does certifications. I don't necessarily want to teach it. There was a boot camp they were going to have that I wanted to go to for myself, just to like go and be around other people, because it's not just positivity and rah bullshit. It's like giving you tools to like work on yourself.
Right.
And Tiffany shared some of those tools with me. But then they talked about, okay, so really what is self-care? So they had another person there who was a speaker, and it was really fascinating. She talked about breath work. And then there was another speaker there who was like holistic healthcare for women. So, getting control of your hormones, which also coincides with everything that we're watching online from a health and wellness standpoint, about you can manage way more in your health than you think by just changing what you eat, changing what the vitamins that you take, the supplements that you take, where you focus energy. And that's kind of where I'm having I guess maybe you could say like today might be one of my table flipping, I'm going to do it in spite of myself kind of moments, because I was just getting so tired and fatigued. And I was getting like, if we would have been like, you saw me on the podcast this time last week, I thought I was going to fall asleep. And it wasn't like that every day, but you get the common 2:00 drag. But then when I was, with everything I was doing and then also not having caffeine this time last week, I thought I was going to like pass away.
Yeah. Which this can, tie back into, focusing your energy, starting out in spite of something or someone or statistics or whatever it may be, and shifting. You could take that, right, fuel your fire, but you have to make sure to shift your energy and turning it into self-care or something that's going to benefit yourself in a very positive way, and not, benefit you and tear someone else down, right? But keeping it very positive and impactful and all that good stuff while you shift that energy is ideal. But speaking of, we can kind of go into a update on 30-30-30, or how we're kind of doing with out of the sick and tired mindset.
Yeah. I mean, it's just getting up earlier, following a routine, which we've all done in the past, but we're human and it's really easy to backslide. And I'm kind of getting to this place where it's like, I'm 42 and I don't have time to keep going backwards. Like I don't have time to say, well, if I slip up, I can just do it again. Like who wants to do that? Who wants to start over? And we always do that with ourselves, like our health, like that. Like that's the thing that everybody always, I would say, would you say 80%, if not in the 90s of human beings will say, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to get really healthy. And they do it for a certain amount of time. And then they go back to what they were doing before. It's a constant back and forth. I would say the people who lock in their health, and I'm not even saying like you got to be the most physically fit and going to the gym 6 days a week, because that's most people who are in a good place and feel healthy don't even do that. They just do the things they do the things that work for them, and they're consistent. It's the consistency that's important, and I would say that's probably a small percentage of people. But the Janessa is probably doing the best at 30-30-30.
I know. I was a slow start. I was like getting the protein food part down, but as far as like getting up out of bed and going and putting shoes on and going for a walk, I didn't until the end of last week into this weekend. I was like, I went on a walk yesterday, and it's going to be real gorgeous here for the next couple of days before it gets chilly again. But walking yesterday, Cole and I did 1.5 miles, and it just like, we didn't talk much, and we were both kind of in this mindset of like grounding ourselves at the same time. And I felt so good the rest of the day. Like I was so happy that I did it. And that's what I'm going to do later today is when I'm done working, I'll put my shoes on before it gets too dark, put my shoes on and go for a walk.
Do you know I'm looking at Amazon right now? I'm looking for an under desk, like
treadmill.
No, like I'll get one. I think I want to get one for my house. My desk here at the office doesn't stand up.
Oh, okay.
They have these under desk bikes.
Oh, really?
That you can pedal. Yeah. So it's like an exercise bike without the seat and the handlebars, but you can change the resistance and you can put them under your desk or just sit in a chair and do it. And it's like, I need to do that to just keep my ankle moving. I needed that through the winter because I have that one ankle that just locks up like an old person. My
I
arthritis that I've
realized
had since I was a child.
I'm only 25, but my metabolism hit a fucking wall.
That's no joke, man. When you get out of
Honestly.
college,
Oh my God. I went
it's no
the
joke.
opposite way of the freshman 15,
Right.
right? I was down 20 pounds my freshman year. I
You played
felt on top
sports.
of the world, all of this stuff. But even after, I kept the weight off. Like I never got super big again until I moved to Texas. Like I kept the weight off. When I started at Smash, which you can cut that part out. When I started working with you, Katy, I was I think 143 pounds. I'm 20 pounds past that at this point. And it's no joke to freaking get off of me. I've tried everything, whether it's eating better, whether it's supplements, whether it's walking every day. I was doing abs every day. I was like hitting weights and doing all that stuff in my garage, and nothing was working. And now, for whatever reason, and I don't know if like I said, I had texted you the other day about this. I was at 163 pounds when we started this. I'm at 160 pounds now. And I'm pretty sure it's just like bloat and water weight that's fluctuating. Just getting the bloat off has been something I have not been able to do with exercise and different foods, which I also, speaking of, I want to try a food sensitivity test to see what foods trigger me or trigger my body, so I can see what foods to avoid. But anyway, what I was saying was, like, I started at 163, I'm at 160 now, and seeing just the bloat and water weight like come off has been so good. I have a long way to go still, but it's been so good. So
no, that's great. I mean, every little bit's great if it makes you feel good. I think that's the biggest thing is my scale, I hadn't weighed myself in a while. So like I said, when I weighed myself this morning, I wanted to throw up, but and the batteries were dead. Miles was the one who was like, hey, the scale's not working. And I'm like, so, okay, we got to put batteries in it. So, and I remember getting to a point, because when we did keto, like hardcore keto, I think I lost like 35 pounds, and then I kind of got stuck, and there wasn't like a whole lot that I was doing that was like, I just couldn't get past that pace. But I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I care, because I felt great. Like, I think now I'm to the point where I would rather pay attention to my energy level, my blood pressure, my blood sugar, and I really need to like go get some labs done. So just to see where all of that stuff is at. But I think I need to find, like, I don't want to go to a doctor who's going to just prescribe me medication. Like I don't want them to mask a symptom. I want to say, here's what my goals are. How can you help me get there?
Right.
And if it's something temporary, great.
But the thing that sucks about, you can't necessarily go to your doctor about that. You can go to your doctor to get the work done so they can give you the facts. But if you're going to go get it changed, you have to go to a specialist in that area. And that's what sucks, is because
I don't know. I think it's just, I don't think any of them, I don't think, like, it's not like a specialist. I don't want to go to a weight loss specialist. I don't want to go to, well, here's the thing. I don't want to go to a weight loss specialist, a cardiologist, like I don't even know what the right term is.
You don't want to go to a million different people.
Yeah.
I get that.
And plus, then if it's hormones related, they're going to send you to a gynecologist. So now you're talking gynecologist, cardiologist, your general practitioner, a kidney doctor if you're having any renal problems, and then like a weight loss specialist. Like, that's 5 different doctors. Like, get fucked. I'm not doing that. Like, if there's one person, I was joking. The doctor that we met in Texas at that event, their perspective was totally different. The way that they looked at healthcare was totally different. And I'm like, I want to go and get, like, just look under the hood and fix everything that you can right now. And if you can put me on a plan that's like fixing multiple things, as opposed to, I can't even get into a doctor. And the frustrating thing too about being a woman, once you're done having kids, like, you'll experience this later, is that if you go to an OBGYN, unless you're pregnant, you're not top priority. Unless you're having a specific issue, you're not getting in. So if you're just like, hey, I want to come in to like speak about improving something or checking something that you're unsure about, they're like, if you don't have a specific problem, you're not even getting into the doctor. Right. And I know that's not every doctor, but it's just, it's a broken system. We have one of the worst healthcare systems on the planet, and the doctors can't do their jobs, or they get desensitized and jaded to doing their jobs because of the pharmaceutical companies companies and the insurance companies. I mean, if we
Right.
want to go down a whole political rant, but like
We can
that's
save that for another episode.
right. But that's like just another area where it's like, fuck it, I'm over it. Like I'm gonna do something different. Like I'm doing something. I purposely will not pay for traditional health insurance in spite of the system. Do they fucking care? No. But I'm just not gonna do it. I can afford a doctor's visit for the 3 times a year I go to the doctor. Why am I gonna pay $900 a month just in case? And then if I go to the hospital, they're like, oh, we're not paying for that anyway. You have
Right.
you have $1 million deductible. But do you remember? That's the one thing I could not remember, the type of doctor. I was going to try to find one here in this area.
Didn't you grab a pamphlet?
Maybe I did. Maybe it's
You stuck it in your bag.
Yeah, I took a pamphlet, but I didn't take the whole folder. Remember? Because I said, "Hey, we don't live here," and she was and I said, "I don't want to waste all of your stuff." So,
well, you want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
By the time our listeners are going to hear this, it's going to be the day after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving.
Right? Hope you all had a good
And you know what that means?
That means today would be Black Friday.
Today would be Black Friday that you're listening to this. And what are we launching on Black Friday?
Our 2-day recruiting expo, which I'm sure sounds boring as hell. But since most of you are business owners and you likely struggle with one of 2 areas of recruiting, most of you who listen to this podcast are business owners. So you struggle in one of 2 areas when it comes to recruiting and hiring. One, you're sick of it. And the job market right now is bananas. So there are so many people in the job market and they are applying for jobs that they are not near qualified for, or they are just literally blasting their resume out to so many places and it's just clogging and jamming up the system, with people who it's limiting some of the traditional methods of like matching people up. Or you have a typical position in your company that's naturally higher turnover, not because there's anything wrong with your company, but you might have sales positions, you might have tradesmen, you might have retail workers, there could be a variety of things. So we're hosting a 2-day event. And if you come across any of our ads, we'll also drop the URL here. We're offering 20% off discount to anybody in the network and today for Black Friday. So if you are a company owner, like especially if you're a roofing company owner trying to master the process to find sales reps, if you are a manager, an HR professional, it could apply for many things. I mean, it's going to be tailored towards business owners, but we are bringing together a group of speakers that are going to talk about all of these like new, well, some of them aren't new, but just kind of like mastering some of the basics and also some new practices, new mindsets, new tools, and bringing that together in a 2-day boot camp to help you build your team for next year. So if you see any of our ads running, if you see it on our Facebook pages, which we'll be blasting it everywhere today on Black Friday, but it's recruitexpo.com, but it's recruit XPO, not EXPO. So recruit expo with no E, recruitexpo.com, and you can get 2-day passes. It's a 2-day event. So come to St. Louis and hang out with us for a couple days.
It'll be fun. I promise.
It'll be a good time. We're going to talk.
Katie's going to be speaking
I am.
about recruiting strategy. I'm going to be talking about employer branding. We have speakers like Tiffany Toombs, Kim Garcia, Mark Reitzel, fan favorite Mark Reitzel, Emily Hoffman, Marissa Maynor, who else? Jackie Ware.
Yep.
And
Austin Shear. Yep. And we've got a couple more. That's who I was actually messaging here. We have a couple, I think we have 3 speaker spots still open, but it's going to be a pretty great lineup. So, well, as of the day we were recording. So I'm hoping that by the time you're listening to this on Black Friday, which should be today, all of those speaker spots are filled. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great event. So we're excited.
Well, if you are looking to hear a topic, if you want some advice, if you just want to chat, you can find us on Instagram at F__K your pod, or you can email me at Emma@99creatives or Katy
at Katy@99creatives.
But yeah, don't forget to do the damn thing. Okay, bye.
Adios.